I thought I'd do a little video on the behind the scenes of travelling. So I'm going to talk about how we've planned everything, why we've picked Europe, transport, budgeting, you name it. I thought this might be quite a good video for people to watch just to kind of get an insight of um, travelling in general and to maybe inspire you guys to do what we're doing. I don't know. But I hope you enjoy this content. It's a little bit different to what we usually put out. But yeah, I'll jump straight into it. So, a question we get asked quite a lot, and especially before we went travelling, when we kind of told people to begin with, a lot of people asked if we were going to Southeast Asia um, or why we weren't going there. The main thing is, it just doesn't gravitate towards us. I think it looks like an absolutely amazing place. I have quite a few friends who have been there or who are going there, and it does look amazing. I think it's definitely somewhere that I would love to go in the future, but I don't know. We didn't really, we just didn't really fancy travelling there. And I think the main reason why we picked Europe probably began with last year when we did a road trip to Dolomites from Germany to Italy. I think you kind of see a bit of more of Europe when you're driving, like long distance driving. I think it just kind of inspired us that maybe we kind of like want to do a bit more of this. And also our initial plan was to potentially do some workaways while we were here on vineyards. That's kind of how we began planning this trip, but it kind of started to get a bit complicated with having to get like visas. You can't just get like a full EU visa, you have to just get it for the country. So it's kind of just trying to find places where you could kind of plan working there far in advance. Just that there just wasn't, it was just proving a bit complicated, and we ended up kind of scrapping that idea and just deciding to fully just travel it and not volunteer or work or anything, which so far has been great, and we've been able to do so much. In the future, I would love to still do like work on a vineyard or something. That is still one of my dreams, but maybe I'll just do it in France, and I'll just go to France for like a month or like for the season and do it. But yeah, I think that's still on the cards. Anyway, I'm kind of going off topic. So yeah, that is one of the reasons why we picked Europe. And off the back of that, I will go into the next thing that a lot of people ask us is about the whole Schengen area 90-day rule, how we're doing it visa-free and all of that. So I will jump into that now. So obviously the UK is no longer in the EU, which we all know about. Let's not get into Brexit, blah, 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 or get political. But yeah, obviously it is harder for us to travel freely, I guess, within certain countries in Europe. So don't forget, the Schengen area is not the whole of Europe. It is certain countries that are in the European Union, which the UK used to be in part of. So for example, where we are currently at the moment in Tirana, which is in Albania, even though Albania is a European country, it is not in the EU. So it is not part of the Schengen area. For example, neither is the UK. So when we began planning this trip, we started planning it, and then we realised you can only be obviously in certain countries as a collective for 90 days within a 180-day period, which is fine if you're going on holiday a few times a year to like Spain or wherever, because you're only going for like 10 days. But if you wanted to travel, obviously 90 days is 3 months. That is still a long time. So if you are planning on travelling for like a shorter time than we are, 90 days is probably fine for you. You just have to take into account that after those 90 days, you can't go back in until the 180-day period has ended, and then it resets. But for us, we wanted to go away for 5 months. So yeah, that's how we came about coming to Albania and Montenegro, as these two countries are not within the European Union. So it meant we could spend, well, we're actually spending I think 77 days within the Schengen area. So that's includes Czech, Slovakia, Poland, Germany and France. And then we're spending about 2 months across Montenegro and Albania. So that's how we've managed to do 5 months in total. So that kind of can give you an idea that it is possible. There are some other countries as well in Europe that aren't in the EU. I think like Andorra and maybe a couple of other countries. I might list them down here when I have a little bit of a research. But yeah, that's how we came about that. So that's, yeah. I don't know what I was going to say. Oh, yeah. But with Albania and Montenegro, they both have their own rules. So you can stay in Albania for, I think, 90 days visa free. So if you are wanting to obviously stay in Albania for 3 months plus, you will have to apply for a visa via, I presume, the Albanian embassy or whatever the thing is. And same with Montenegro. But yeah, that's how we've managed to do that. Which I will go into now, how we planned where we were going. Which I'm not going to lie, we didn't really have a set plan. We've obviously done this whole trip ourselves. Like, we've organised it all ourselves independently. We've not used any sort of travel agents or anything to do. I think there are options out there that you can do that, but we've just done it all ourselves, booked everything independently, no packages or anything. The first thing we did was we just booked a one-way ticket to Prague, which I think was in December, and that ticket was £30 for the two of us, I think. And we kind of were like, oh, well, at this point we hadn't like made any plans, or we hadn't really decided how long we were going to go away for, and we hadn't really figured anything out, but we thought, oh, do you know what, if we don't end up going, it's £30, like £15 each, like it's not a huge like loss or whatever. But that was kind of like the stepping stone to starting the process. We picked Prague because my friend Sebastian, hi Sebastian if you're watching this, lives in a place called Ostrava, which is in southern Czech, and we planned on staying with him for a bit, and he met us in Prague for a couple of days to begin with. So yeah, that's kind of how we started the planning of the trip. And then after that, we kind of just made it up, I guess. We knew we wanted to spend like a bit of time in France, so we knew we wanted to like save like a month just purely for France, because we wanted to do a lot of like wine based stuff in France. We kind of wanted to like save that, and then yeah, Poland, Slovakia, they literally picked random places off a map, which all turned out to be absolutely amazing. We'd both been to Krakow before, so we went back there, and then we also picked Bratislava before I went to Germany, as that's the capital of Slovakia, and then we had plans to also meet my parents in Germany as well, and Mason's parents in Montenegro. So yeah, we kind of just booked, I guess, those things first, like meeting my friend Sebastian, meeting my parents in Germany, and meeting Mason's parents in Montenegro, and then from there we kind of just made plans in between those destinations and France at the end. So yeah, I would say we literally just pulled up Apple Maps on our iPad and literally just picked random places that a Flixbus or a train could get us to. So yeah, but honestly I think that's the best way to do it sometimes, because you probably go to like most of the places that we've been to, like apart from like the capital cities or like bigger towns, you literally don't find any tourists there, and we've been able to like probably see the side of the country that you wouldn't see as maybe just going for a few days on a holiday. So yeah, it's definitely, I'd recommend doing it that way. But yeah, now I'm going to go into accommodation. We've booked all of our accommodation on booking.com. I think there's one place we booked on Airbnb, which was Paris, just because it worked out cheaper. But yeah, we booked everything on booking.com, mainly due to the fact that pretty much I think every single booking we've been able to pay for at the property or 1 or 2 days before we arrive, and free cancellation goes up to like at least 24 hours before the booking, which has been really great. Just kind of gives you a bit more room if you wanted to like maybe change your plans, or God forbid like an accident happens or something like that, touch wood. But yeah, it's been great, and I have a Genius level 2 or 3 on booking.com because I use it quite a lot beforehand, that we were able to get so many amazing discounts on it, which was really great. Like sometimes we get like £100 off a booking, or you'd get like extra money off day excursions or airport transfers, like, which we've not used, but it is great, like, just added benefits to it. And also booking.com, you've kind of got like that added a bit of security with booking accommodations and stuff. So yeah, I would definitely recommend using booking.com. So far into the trip, it's been great. We have changed a couple of accommodations so far on the trip, which has been fine. We've been able to cancel them for free and change it, just like the location hasn't been right, or we just had a change in plan or whatever. So yeah, we just use booking.com for all of our accommodation. And then for transport, we've also booked this all independently. We've used, obviously, flights, EasyJet, Lufthansa, this other French line, I can't remember the name of them. And yeah, all of our flights have, I think the most expensive flight was like £200, and that's our return flight from Bordeaux in France to the UK. But it's the middle of August. I think it's because it's school holidays and they bump up the prices. But yeah, nothing's been more than £200, and we pre-booked all of our flights before we left the UK. And then yeah, the other transport we've used is Flixbus. I'd really, really recommend this, using Flixbus if you're on a budget. Super cheap. I think the most expensive ticket we bought was like £6 each. You can also travel long distances on Flixbus. Like, you can travel to like so many different countries across Europe, and they're really flexible. You can take hold luggage on with you. Really affordable. They run quite frequently. And yeah, I've never had a problem with Flixbus. And we've used quite a few of them around like Poland and Slovakia. And then other than that, we just used trains so far, and we've booked these all independently through the national rail websites of the countries we've been in. And then for about Albania and Montenegro, they don't seem to have like national public transport here. It just doesn't seem to be a thing. So everyone recommended to us that we hired our own car, which we have for the whole time we're in Albania and Montenegro. We made sure that the hire company allows you to cross borders with their vehicle. Just make sure, because I think sometimes some hire car companies, you have to add like an extra fee on for that. It's never usually that much money, but yeah, just be cautious of that if you're ever doing it. So yeah, for transport, that's been it really, and it's not been, the most expensive thing was the hire car, but we've got it for 2 months, and we also prepaid for that before coming out of here, before coming out to Europe. I can't speak. And then I will go on to budgeting. I do like to be a bit of a budget queen, and we have budgeted this whole trip. So we, I think, spent about £5,000 on accommodation for the whole 5 months, which I think is pretty good going, to be honest, for the full 5 months, because everywhere we're pretty much staying is our apartments, like private apartments, or at least pretty much all of the accommodation. If it's been like a shared house with like private room and stuff, we've had kitchen facilities there, so we've been able to like cook our own food and everything. And then there's a couple of places where we stayed in hotels, but that's been more in like cities and stuff like that. But yeah, pretty much everywhere we've gone, we've got our own entire place, which has been amazing. And we've managed to obviously get some really great deals on booking.com because of that. So yeah, for the accommodation, we've managed to keep it to a pretty good price, I think, for the full 5 months, about £2,500 each if you're looking for like per person price. And then we set aside some money for obviously expenses, like, you know, everyday expenses. So we budgeted each week, so we have like a set amount for the week, and in that is like a set amount each day that we budget. And for our money, we use Monzo just because it's great for using abroad, and we have a joint account on there, so we're able to like have our daily money on one account, and we just like, if we want to go out for a coffee, or if we need to do a food shop, just take the money off there. And then through that, we actually set up a separate savings account, which is just like an extra, where any money we don't spend each day or every week during the week, we put into this account as like kind of like pocket money, I guess, or like extra money. which has been great if we want to go out for like a nice meal. For example, last night in Toronto, we went out for like a date night and we used like our little extra money to do that. Or if you want to go out for like a day or like do a bit of sightseeing, but it's going to be like maybe a bit, like a little bit of a treat or whatever, you can use that money and you don't feel too bad about it because it's like a treat. So we've done that and we earn interest on that, which is great. Another perk of like Monzo. And we also have the Roundup set up. It's like called the Roundup, Monzo Roundup, which is set up on your account. So say you go out to a coffee shop and your bill's like £3.50, Monzo will round that up to £4, but puts that 50p into our savings account. So we've actually made quite a bit of money just off doing that alone. So yeah, I definitely recommend doing that. And it's also nice just to have like extra money to the side as like a security or like just a bit of like for an emergency. Like for example, last week on the train we got stunned and the guy said that we hadn't bought the right ticket, so we had to like pay for a new ticket. But I'm not going to go into it, but yeah, luckily we had like extra money to the side, so we were able to like not feel bad about it, blah blah. Anyway, yeah, so we have budgeted our whole trip and I would definitely recommend using Monzo. Yeah, never had a problem with using this card abroad. Pretty much, well, everywhere so far has accepted it to pay with. But yeah, I think that is everything. If anyone has got any questions, feel free to give us a message or comment. But yeah, I thought this would be just a nice video to do to kind of just like probably maybe give some inspiration to people that are thinking about going travelling, or people who are maybe curious about like how we're doing it all or how we've planned it all. But yeah, my best advice would be to just go do it. If you're thinking about going to do it, just do it, because I think we're like 50 something days into our trip and I don't regret it one bit. It's been amazing. We've been to so many beautiful, amazing places and met so many great people. You know, we've gone to places, like I said earlier, that we probably would never go to if you just went on like a holiday. So being able to kind of just like, I guess, just live like kind of the day-to-day life, or, you know, like see more of the culture or like more of the people live. Yeah, it's just been great. So yeah, if you're thinking about it, just go do it. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video and see you again soon.